Hello, legends. Welcome back to Exit Point. If you're new here, this is the podcast where we explore life through the lens of some of the world's most committed adventure athletes. I'm Sam Hardy, and I'll be your host for the following episode. Thanks to Matt, Laurent, and Mark for building such an awesome platform for these stories over the years. I'm hoping to keep the spirit alive, bring in more great conversations, and dig deep into what really drives people who choose to live a life outside the ordinary. If you've been enjoying the podcast so far, it really helps out if you subscribe on your favorite platform and leave a review. It sounds small, but it goes a long way to keeping the show alive. And if you'd like to support the project directly, you can also donate by buying a shirt through the link on our Instagram page. Also, a huge thank you to everyone who sent emails and messages about past episodes and how they've impacted you. Hearing that these conversations have inspired people, change perspectives, or even push someone to go chase their own adventure, that's the energy that keeps this whole thing moving forward. All right, let's get into it. Today's guest is Lewis Jones, a name that carries serious weight in the world of urban base jumping. Lewis comes from the UK base scene, a world that for years operated under what Lewis describes as a cloak and dagger culture. Quiet rooftops, locked doors, and a lot of patience. Instead of following the traditional path, Lewis largely taught himself, figuring things out, object by object, jump by jump. Over time, that persistence has led to an incredible milestone, more than 3,000 base jumps from over countless buildings, in Lewis's words. And if it's a strange structure somewhere in the UK, the chances are Lewis has already stood on top of it or is actively figuring out how to get off of it. So today we're going to dive into the underground world of urban base, the lessons learned from thousands of jumps, and the strange pull that keeps him coming back for more. Lewis, welcome to Exit Point, my friend. I guess we'll start from the beginning, really. I don't really know where the beginning is, but I definitely know that when I reached out to you, when was it, a couple of months ago, said, hey man, you fancy doing a podcast? And you were like, oh mate, I'll have to call you back. And you just sent me a little emoji of a ninja. And I was like, well, nothing's changed there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, still busy, just quieter about it.
What were you up to that night when I ended up sort of, you had said that you'd be interested?
It's a bit of a long-term project, one I can't really talk about just yet, but it's a bit of a holy grail one. So it's one that looks really, really likely that it's going to work out, but it's a patience thing. It's one that I've been waiting for over a decade. So.
Wow. And is this a patience thing because of like legality or weather?
No, it's just access. It's an opportunist thing, but it looks like it's all worked out now. And now it's just there's a few things that have to be perfect on the perfect day, and then it's all good to go. So it's like pretty much 100% now. So sorry, I have to be vague, dude, but it's a big one. Can't risk losing it.
All my emotions inside of me want to squeeze that answer out of you, but I will leave that and just enjoy it when you get to tell me about it, you know?
Yeah, dude, when you come to London, I'll show you everything, man.
If you're happy talking about some stuff, I definitely know that you've got some really, really impressive buildings under your belt from your massive amount of experience. But I'd love to know about the big one that you did a few years ago.
I mean, the big one could refer to many, but you mean the tall one, the big London one, the Shard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. We're allowed to say the name.
Yeah, so we can talk about it, dude. It was all over the news, so it's not really a secret.
I mean, the fact that you did that, like, I'd just love to dive into how on earth did you jump that building?
So that one was that was a treat, man. That was a long-term mission. It had been jumped under construction before they put all the glass on and stuff. There was a friend of mine did it with another guy, but it wasn't topped out. It wasn't the building. It is, and it's always with buildings. It's always two complete different things to get it under construction, get it when it's finished. Sometimes it's easier when it's finished. Sometimes it's the other way around. Usually it's harder when it's finished. But that one, it was kind of a big deal for those guys that had got it. And one of them went and looked at it when it was all finished. And I said to him, I was keen to have a look. And he was like, mate, I've been there. It's impossible. It can't be done. So I was like, all right, sweet. Well, I don't believe you. So I'm going to go and have a look. And that was my, what was it now? think it was maybe my 30th birthday. Sam, my wife, she'd booked like a weekend for us in London, and she'd booked the whole weekend around recceing a few buildings that I wanted to tick off because she's been around base as long as I have. She knew that's what I would want more than anything. So we went and checked it out, and straight away I was like, you know what, it's not easy, but it's can definitely be done. There's just a few things that I needed to figure out, and but the annoying thing is, one of the other buildings I knew was connected via security to the shard, and when we checked that out, we're like, oh, that could be done too, and it was more likely I would get the second one. But obviously, the crown jewel of London is the Shard. That's the big one. I mean, it's not the best building in London that I'd want to get, but it is the biggest building that you want to get at the minute. So it was a real fucking stress because I'm like, I could put all my eggs in one basket and get one of them, but I'm probably not going to get the second one. So, and the second one was the walkie-talkie building, which I always wanted, but it's not as, I don't know, it might be a stupid word to use, but prestigious as the Shard, but
Yeah.
it would be more guaranteed that I would get that one. It'd still be difficult. So I had to pick. I was like, which one am I going to pick? Which one am I going to go for? And in the end, I picked the Shard. And then it was like a long, I think from going there and looking at it, it was like maybe 14 months before I actually got the jump because so many things had to line up. Starting, like, first thing I had to do was obviously recce it and see the jump work, see where I'm going to land. Everything was sweet, pretty straightforward, really. But getting the rig in, that was going to be the hard thing. You know, it's like going through an airport.
Right.
Body scanners getting wanded down and patted down and all that stuff. So that was the big challenge, was getting the parachute in.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Shard's the biggest building in the United Kingdom, right?
I think in Europe, go through all the scanners, and I'm pretty sure in Europe, it's not that big in terms of world buildings. It's only 1,000 feet or so, like 300 meters. Big, but compared to Dubai or somewhere like that, it's London doesn't build them that big, not yet. Anyway, they've got a lot of restrictions on their buildings. Like a lot of the buildings in London are funny shapes, and the reason they're funny shapes is so that from certain points on the outskirts of the city, you still have direct line of sight to St Paul's Cathedral.
Wow, I never knew that. Okay, yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like a big thing. You can't obstruct views from certain parts of the outskirts of the city.
That's so funny. I always thought that when I, gone through London, I thought, why on earth, like one looks like an egg, the other one looks like a flag. Like I never knew that. So that's really cool to understand that it's around like the architecture, right?
Yeah, man, it's pretty interesting. Like the city's amazing for history. I always love it when you see like historical dramas and things like that. Like, and then you see like some of the buildings that you've jumped still there, and on like super old historical dramas. You're like, yeah, this is rad.
But, jump that.
Yeah. Oh man, I piss everybody off. Like a lot of my friends wouldn't let me drive when we're in London because I spend too much time looking up and not enough time looking at the road. Like we definitely nearly crashed a bunch of times because of me.
Yeah. So I'll definitely take note that if I ever come jumping in London with you, I will drive.
Yeah, sweet, fair deal.
So you were saying before, with the Shard, man, like you said it's like crossing into like an airport, like the security is pretty tight on it, right?
Yeah. So the first thing as you go in, you've got like an airport style metal scanner that you have to walk through. And then they'll wand you down if it pings anything. But they also make you take off jackets and put them through a separate scanner and pat you down a lot of the time as well. So we had to I quickly had a plan for all that. Like I knew that it'd be possible to make a parachute system without any metal. I know there's different things, like different problems that you come up with that, but this wasn't like going to be an everyday rig. It just had to work.
You made a rig for it, right?
Well, I didn't make it. I designed it. I can't be trusted with a sewing machine, dude. I haven't got the attention span for anything that I'm not super focused on. It's like I'm all in on something, or my brain just floats off if not. So luckily I had a friend that was good with a sewing machine, and then I just had to keep explaining what I wanted and different things about it. But the first thing I really had to do was downsize. Like I knew my parachutes were too big.
Right. Okay.
So I'd already had a pretty heavy wing loading, but I knew if I wanted to if I wanted to start sneaking parachutes into some of these more harder to access buildings, the first thing I wanted to do was downsize. And there's massive pros and cons to all that. Obviously, the big pro is that you can hide it, but the other pro is in the city, you get such bad turbulence all the time, and the smaller parachute's going to cut through it a lot better. So I knew it would have pros, and obviously the big con is that things go wrong a lot quicker, and it's harder to. You have to be faster making decisions. So I was so current at the time, like ridiculously current. And at the time, I had the ethos that if I wasn't jumping at every opportunity, that it was jumpable. And I'm talking even antenna winds, like strong winds, still be jumping all the time. Then I shouldn't be base jumping. That was kind of what my theory was with base at the time. So I was jumping like I think that year I did like 400 jumps, and a lot of them were buildings. Like most of them were buildings.
And I guess within that time, jumping that much, I'd take a stab in the dark here.
Oh man,
You were
yeah.
probably
So
opening a lot of
at the
buildings as
time,
well, right?
I had a friend of mine that I taught to base jump that year, and in his first year, he opened 100 buildings with me. That's pretty cool.
What? 100 buildings opened with
100
you?
buildings in his first year. Yeah. It was sick.
Like,
That was a good year.
that is so hard to grasp, and it's almost like an impossible feat alone. Just that is like incredible, you know?
Yeah, and we were jumping like more jumps on other objects and buildings as well. So we probably both had about 400 jumps that year. But yeah, in his first year, 100 buildings is pretty sick. He got pretty good pretty quick with his canopy.
Yeah, I could imagine, right? That's
Yeah.
incredible. 400 jumps it's a lot of jumps a year. I think the most I ever did was 336.
Yeah, but you were jumping in the mountains, right?
Yeah, they were predominantly all wingsuit jumps and a lot of hiking and stuff like that. But it's still a lot. But like I know how much effort that is, let alone doing 400 buildings. Like for me,
But I mean, it
that's a
does
shitload of
sound
jumping,
a
dude.
little bit more impressive than it is because there's blocks of flats in London. You know, you've got like tower blocks, like you'll get four that are the same, and we would jump all four.
Ah, okay.
So there's a lot of jumps that are almost the same jump, you know. And an urban base is a lot like that. Like a lot of the time you're doing the same jump. You know, you're jumping off say 300-400 foot building straight down,
Mhm.
sheer, and then you land on the road. It's like, you know, there's a lot of the time that's it. There's not that much to it, but you get the excitement from the access. So it still
Right.
stays fresh. You're still nervous. You're still peaking. You still get to the exit, and you know you might start doing more aerials or like more stupid shit off the buildings. But essentially, a lot of the time, you know, it's not every jump that you're finding a sick gap to fly through or something rad to do or double jumps and things like that. But at first, you can once you're okay at jumping buildings, a lot of buildings are safer than a lot of cliffs, and then you can go raging around the city and jump tons and tons. And London's got so many buildings to choose from that,
Okay. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, in that year, 100 jumps, he did some pretty wild ones, but a lot of them were essentially the same jump, just different place.
And so it's really the excitement is just coming from understanding the access, how to get into it, whether or not there's metal detectors, etc., like the shard. Um,
Yeah.
and then I guess that is a nice way to put it. Like the jump format is really similar, right? Like, okay, there's a short delay, landing on the
Yeah.
road. Then there's obviously the getaway as well, with a worst case scenario if the cops turn up or something like that.
Yeah. That's it. And I always look at that like any mission where you get. I mean, I used to be a real kind of stickler for it. Like if you got seen by any member of security or something, I'd be real hard on myself. I'd be like, oh, it was kind of a failed mission, you know, even if you get away. But then, you know, it's inevitable. A lot of the time you're going to get seen, but it's just, you
Do
just
you
don't want to
reckon
get
that's
caught.
like, do you reckon because you had such hard and stringent like protocols with that, that has been like an attribute to your success with being able to jump so many buildings because you were strict on
Mm.
yourself?
100%. Like the guys that I used to jump with used to always call me autistic because I'd be like, right, I've been watching the security for like 3 days. They're gonna do the rounds at this time, that time. They'll be like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? You're wasting your whole life staring at these buildings. You could just turn up and just wing it, and it'd be all right. But but no, I've got away I've never been caught on anything high profile. You know, I've always got away with it. Obviously there's videos out there and stuff like that, but I never talked to the press or anything like that. So I've never been named, and that's another big part of why I've got away with so much. Other jumpers in the past that have always tried to get in the news or make a name for themselves, then security start to know them. I've actually been rummaging around in security offices in buildings before, looking for access buttons and things like that, and seen posters of other UK based jumpers on the wall, like "Don't let this guy in."
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I've got photos of them. Yeah,
Wow. So with all the jumps you've done, all the buildings, you are staying under that radar. So this is real proper. It's almost like a military sort of like approach.
dude, that's
to it, right?
why I only used to cut my hair once every 2 years. I'd go skinhead to like past my shoulders. I'd be changing all the time. Like it's the best way.
I actually remember when you had long hair. You kind of looked like Jesus, actually. I do remember.
Yeah, yeah, I got that a lot, man. Jesus was an arrow bunny. I don't know how to take that.
It's a compliment. Jesus was a good-looking dude, apparently. So,
That's sweet. Sweet.
yeah, I know that we're just going to end up noodling off and talking about tons of different stuff, but I really want to
stick that jump.
know the yeah. I really want to know like
All right.
the info behind the intel and how you got
Yeah,
away
yeah.
with it.
I'll run you through it. So I started making the rig. I downsized first, so I started going to France to the bridges a lot and just hammering jumps. And I downsized before going there, and I actually downsized smaller than what I planned to use in the city, so that I could jump something really small. Like I was like 87 kilos, and I was jumping a 185 for quite a while.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
86 kilos. We're like basically around 200 pounds, right? At that point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or close to. So yeah, that was nippy. So I was ripping that, and I actually had to get rid of the 185 in the end because I showed Andre a video of me swooping it in London and messing up and having to like dig myself out with the toggles. Like I thought I was going to double femur myself. Did a 450 off a building. Yeah, that was a failed one. But yeah, got rid of that in the end. But yeah, I downsized first, started working on this rig. So no padding at all on the rig, like one layer, single skin, super thin fabric, super lightweight fabric, no leg strap padding, no leg strap buckles, no chest strap buckle, just tie a little knot. It just, super simple, basically, just an envelope and a super thin harness, and that was it. And that was the first rig that I made like that. And to be honest, it wasn't ideal. It wasn't the best because it's still it took some effort. So I had to use like a neoprene corset around it, which defeated the pat down. You just felt like your skin, like there was no end to the container and start to my body. So the only bit that was difficult was like where it meets your ass. Like then there was a little bit of a tricky bit there, especially with the pilot chute. So the best thing to do was to not have the pilot chute packed and have that stashed away in the back pad. And then have the container slightly tapered, so it wasn't such a sudden bit like block from the container to your ass cheeks. But
right, so you're talking about like where the BOC is. You needed that bit to almost form like continuity from the container over your butt cheeks and like almost wrap.
Yeah, and then with the neoprene, you make it one thing. So you use quite a thick neoprene, so it's like a wetsuit almost, but a thick wetsuit, and then it just eliminates any sudden like step in like sudden change, but that was the neoprene was mainly because it wasn't good enough, like it was too big still. And the reason I didn't want to go smaller is because I was pretty much 100% sure I was going to get busted. And I wanted my defense to be the New York Jeb Corliss defense. Look how good I am at base jumping. I wasn't going to hit anyone. Like I wasn't going to crash into anyone or cause any, because I was trying to think what they might throw at me because it wasn't trespass. I bought a ticket to get in. So my big worry was that they were going to say I put people's lives at risk.
Okay.
And so I needed some kind of defense, So I didn't want to downsize too crazy and then have a shitty landing, and then they say, well, you didn't look in control on the video, So I needed to go well.
You had to look good for it, right? You had to look good. I'm dying to know. Did you get patted down when you went in?
So what I did, because I spent ages. So not only did we have the neoprene corset, we also wrapped a sling around it, like coiled it to make it as tight. I could barely breathe. Like we had it so tight that I could barely breathe, just to compress it as much as we possibly could. And it looked pretty good with a hoodie on. You couldn't really see. It looked fine with a hoodie on. But the problem is they would typically make people take their hoodie off and put it through the scanner. Like, you know, the normal conveyor belt scanner next to the thing. But what I noticed, so I spent quite a bit of time watching the security and seeing what they did. I noticed that if people had a hoodie on, they would make them take it off. But if people had a hoodie and a jacket on, they would just make them take the jacket off. So they were just going through the motions. And so I thought, all right, sweet. I'm just going to wear a down jacket on top of a hoodie and they'll make me take the down jacket off. And that part was going to work perfectly. But I still, with the hoodie, was paranoid because there's quite a lot of people. There's usually like 4 or 5 people down in the around the scanners, and only 2
like security people.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on me. You know, there's no way to keep your back away from everyone. You're going to be kind of looked at. So I wanted things to be a bit more in my favor. So I come up with the idea that I'd have a friend ground crew. So I got my friend Kieran to come up to ground crew for me. And I mean, before all this, the other thing is I had to book tickets to go up. So I needed tickets for me and my ground crew, and it needed to be on like a pretty much nil-wind day. And
of course, yeah.
Yeah, and the problem with UK is we sit on like the jet stream, like 2 different airflows meeting, and it moves up and down, and the weather can change in an instant. And we were waiting for months and months, and we just kept. There never seemed to be whenever there was a good window for wind, there would be no tickets left, and it was taking ages, and it just wasn't working out. And then I had a friend visit from Germany who was just started base jumping, and she wanted to do her first building. And I'd found this really nice building. It's the first building I ever picked the locks to. So I was like, sweet.
Oh, sick. Really cool.
So I took her there and we opened it, and it's like 500-foot, like beautiful building. So we went and jumped that. And then I went up and met up with a good friend of mine, Ian, like an old school. I say old school, he's like, I guess he is old school now, but like a bit of a urban base jumping legend in the UK. And we had some plans to open a couple other really cool objects, to 2 chimneys, really cool chimneys that night. So we drove all the way from North London to South London, well, from Cambridge to start. So like an hour into London, and then an hour across London after doing the first jump. Then we got the second jump in, which was a mission which was pretty cool. I'm going to keep going off track here, but he saw people working on this chimney. It's like a really old, like listed chimney. So it's like, it can't be demolished. So it's like a Victorian chimney thing there. And he saw these people working on it, and they typically use this big chain wrapped around the 2 big metal handles at the bottom doors. But they have a massive, really secure padlock at the bottom, like pretty much impossible to pick. But while they were working on it, they'd left the chain there, and he just went and bought another big padlock and locked it to the other end of the chain. So he's like, I wonder what they'll do, because they won't be able to lock it up. And luckily, they just wrapped it round and left it unlocked for the night. So we went and got that.
Wow, yeah.
That was cool. Yeah, and then we went to a power station on the south coast and got that. And then while we were there, it must have been about 3 a.m. I just thought, I'll just check the weather, and it was perfect for the shard. I thought, there'll be no tickets. I checked the tickets. There's tickets. It's like, fuck. So it was all go. So we had to burn all the way back, like 3-hour drive back to Cambridge, and wake everyone up, get everyone ready, like all the ground crew that I needed.
Hell yeah. That's so sick.
So it was a mission. I hadn't slept for days. I was like on a mad one. But Kieran, he had a really, really big role in it. There was a few things that I needed him to do. And the first thing was I had got him to put a bunch of different keys and things in all his different pockets. And we'd booked tickets for the first people, like the first group of people allowed in. So we were like queuing to go in straight away. And I got him to go through in front of me. So he goes through the scanner and it beeps. And they're like, and he goes, this key, puts it in the thing, goes through again, beeps again. And it's just holding the queue up. And everybody's already queuing outside to come in. So they're like, fuck, so we need to hurry this up. So he keeps doing that back and forth. So by the time he gets through, I then chuck my little bag in the conveyor belt with my down jacket, goes through, no noise, and they're just rushing me through. Go, 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 go kind of thing. No beep, go. So straight through to the lift. No one's looking at me because they're just in a rush to get the queue moving.
You got through, the rig's on, you haven't
The
even
rig's
been
on.
patted down.
No,
Kieran's
didn't get
like
patted
saving
down.
you straight. This is like a movie, man. This is
Yeah,
sick.
it works. Yeah, this is what I mean. I had enough time to think about everything, so I was stressed. But and then I get this cool thing because I'm scared of heights. Like I'm genuinely, I'm scared of flying. I'm scared of heights, and that's why I love base jumping still after all this time. Like you don't go to a theme park to not be afraid of the rides, right? So if you get
True.
like complacent to it, I think if I got complacent to it, I wasn't scared anymore. I'd just stop. Like I'd find something else, but it's still scary to me. So like with it being like already scary, when I'm doing something like this where I know I'm gonna have one chance, if I get caught, then the courts will ban me from going near that building. It's like the one chance to get the best building that I want the most, and I'm like, fuck, I can't mess this up. I can't mess this up. So from there, I go into the toilets, and well, first we went out onto the viewing deck area, and
so you've gone in the elevator, you've gone all the way up to the top of the shaft.
gone up to the top, yeah, and there's a viewing deck there, and it's like a pyramid, this shard, and you've got in each corner there's like a handrail about 8 foot up, like it's like a weird flat rail connected to the glass, and then there's little slot kind of openings that are like recesses. There's channels that run down the angles, so you're about, I don't know, 3 foot, 4 foot maybe set back from the edge of the building.
Right, okay.
So there's a nice exit point because you've got this flat handrail, but you have to push because the building's positive, but you're also set back in a channel. Now, each one of the corners of the viewing deck, there's a security guard stationed there. So we go up and we're just kind of sussing out who's paying the most attention, who's doing what, like trying to suss out security, and to a point where we think, all right, it's, you know, everything's as we expected. So I've got to get ready for an opportunity. And if an opportunity doesn't come soon enough because we don't want to be sitting there for too long so that we start looking dodgy, you know? So we need to be ready to go as soon as we get the first opportunity. And if we don't get one, we have to make one. So Kieran was going to either be the distraction for one of the security guards, or his other big goal was to be bodyguard for me, because if I start climbing up and go to jump and someone grabs my foot, I'm not going to make it far enough out. Like I need to get a good push. So yeah, it was pretty funny, man. Like the security guards are big guys, and I remember looking at Kieran and I can see him stretching like he's going to get ready for a fight. I'm like, oh shit, man, he's serious. I picked the right ground crew.
Mate, this Kieran guy sounds like a legend for helping you to get to this point.
He's one of the best, man. He's a proper guy. He's one of the best. But so from there, I had to go into the toilets to gear up, and so I had to take obviously the neoprene corset off. Had to take the hoodie off, but put the down jacket back on over the top. And actually, no, I did it the other way around. I took the down jacket off, I kept the hoodie on, but take the neoprene corset off, sort the pilot chute out, take the sling off and everything, kind of get prepped to jump. So at that point, it's a little bit more obvious that you're wearing a rig, but still pretty hidden. It's still pretty good. And obviously, it's easier to keep your back away from the security guards at that point anyway. So
they're not looking for a parachute, are they?
They're not looking for a parachute, but this is real soon. Like we actually delayed the jump for quite a while because of the terror attacks. So like London was pretty on edge at the time. And the last thing I wanted is to be like, you know, ripping a jumper off, scaring everyone and having some weird thing strapped to me. It just, you know, so out of respect, we delayed it a few times because of that. And we knew that everything was a bit more secure at that period, so it made things a little bit trickier. But yeah, they don't really know what they're looking for. But you know, everybody's heard of suicide vests and things like that. Everybody's kind of, you know, waiting for something to happen. So it's good to be paranoid. But yeah, so I got geared up, went back out onto the viewing deck, and just kind of hung out with Kieran, and then just by chance, one of the security guys called his mate over, and there was 2 women standing right by the exit point. I just had to rip the hoodie off, march over, climb up, And they're the only, and Kieran just ran over to him and went, don't worry, he's got a parachute. So they didn't scream or nothing. And I jumped and no one saw from the viewing deck. Nobody saw.
Really?
Yeah. So
And
Kieran's,
you were like this invisible dude. Just, it's amazing to hear. I love it, man. I love it.
yeah, not so much from the ground. Like from the ground, everybody saw. Like, and I had a couple of plans. So knowing that I was going to get busted, I obviously had picked the perfect spot to land. There's this little kind of lay-by for the bus stops, but the road had it was like a dead end at the time because there was works going on further down the road, so there was barely any traffic, so it's kind of perfect. But I thought, well, if I'm going to get busted anyway, there's another building opposite which is a really fun jump, which is like 400 feet. It's like it's got a really good roof to land on. I could double jump it, just do a rollover, like
Yeah, why not?
Take the bus. And I did. I considered it for ages. While we were in the viewing deck, I couldn't be 100% on the winds. I didn't really want to be doing like a windy unpack jump for the second one, so I just thought, sod it, I'm going to go for plan B. And I jumped off, did a short delay, obviously because the building's positive, and you can't. I couldn't. We toyed the idea of getting a slider made with ceramic grommets, but it was just too much work, so I didn't have a slider anyway.
No, obviously, it's 1,000-foot building. You like in my brain, I'm thinking, well, you could probably do like 5-6 seconds slider up from that, but just because of the positivity of that building, you opted to do a slider down. What sort of delay did you take on it?
Oh man, it was only a few seconds, if that. It was short. Okay. I didn't, those kind of jumps usually aren't for the free fall. It's just getting the mission in.
Obviously, man. And then, well, obviously now your parachute slider down is open. You're in the middle of London, I presume, it first thing in the morning.
It's like 10 o'clock, I think. Right? Yeah, oh yeah, man. Yeah, but like I said, it was a while for the people on the viewing deck to catch on. Kieran was still up there, and he said it was quite a long time before they realised, and they got radioed that somebody had jumped. But obviously everyone on the ground can see me. But what I did is, to keep them guessing, I flew a lap around the building. And
sick.
Oh no! So this was the best bit for me. The thing that sticks in my mind the most of the whole jump. So parts of the building are a hotel, and I jump off, and then I turn around, and I'm flying like close to the side of the building, and I look over, and there's a woman sitting on the edge of her bed with a bowl of cereal, and she puts the spoon down and waves to me, and it's annoying because it's a chest cam that I had on, but I turn back and I'm waving to her. I'm like, hello. And she's just like, what I mean, I'd love to be her and just be sitting there one morning and someone just flies past your window. That would be so weird. It'd be so good.
Dude, that would be so funny. The fact that she just like had the courtesy just to wave at you, like, hello.
To wave, yeah, man.
That's very English, I think.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's like, for ages after, that was probably the thing that stuck in my head the most. That was like the funniest thing. So surreal, being that high over London and just like communicating with another person. It's just having a normal day.
And that's like, it's really funny that you take that as the core memory away from it. It was like, oh yeah, I remember like flying past on a canopy and watching a chick eating their cereal in the morning, just like, hello.
Yeah.
Not like all the other stuff as well. It's just really funny.
Dude, it's
cool.
I learned a lot from that jump about that as well, because I remember not long after thinking my memory of that jump isn't as vivid as I'd like. But afterwards, after we jumped, and I'm fast forwarding ahead a little bit here, but I took all my ground crew and PCA'd them all off a small building on the outskirts of London, just as a kind of thank you. And then we all drove back towards Cambridge and just jumped a tiny little 190-foot antenna, like just a nothing jump, And I remember being just as stoked to be with my friends, like having a good day and jumping the antenna as I was on the shard jump. So I was like, oh, fuck, maybe it's the people that make this. Maybe it's not the objects.
A lot of base jumping in the sports that we do come down to the people you're with. And that's why, we talk about the community and the stories and stuff like that. Like, I could sit here and listen to you say all of these stories. But if we went jumping, it's like you're doing it together, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, how much easier is it to get motivated to go for a jump if your friend's going to come along?
Oh, mate, way more than going off solo on your own, It depends how hungry you are, but it's always so much nicer just to have a couple people there. And like, I know that, like when I go hiking and stuff with Robbie and jumping with Robbie Pecknick, man, he can fucking talk. But the stuff that
Yeah,
comes out his mouth is just, it's hilarious. And it
dude.
makes the hiking and the jumping so good.
Yeah. I totally understand, man, for sure, for sure. But yeah, so yeah, I flew around the building on that one. Did a couple more, like flew over to another building, checked that out, turned around, flew, landed next to some guy. I think he was drunk. He was like super stoked. Started trying to have a conversation with me, and I'm trying to grab my shit as quick as I can. And I didn't expect to get that far. I thought it was going to be like game over before I even touched the ground. But obviously there was no police there at that point, and I just sprinted. And there's like like an indoor market just down. You get to the end of the road, cross over a busy road that leads to the bridge, and there's like a busy indoor market, but it was just kind of opening up. And so I've just got a bundled parachute, and I'm just sprinting. I run in, and I just see a woman lifting up. She's got like a wine store in there, and she's just lifting up the metal shutters. And I just ducked under her, and I just parachuted off the shard. Can I hide in here for a minute? And she just slid the shutters down. And was like, yeah, yeah. And the thing is, just before I ran into a store, I saw two police walking straight towards us, and I was like, "Oh, I'm busted! I'm busted! I'm busted!" And as soon as she started sliding them up, and I ducked in, and she was like that. It's so funny, man. I'm like, "Look, I'm really sorry. I've got to take my trousers off to take the parachute off. Is that cool?" And she's like, "Yep, go for it." Like she was cool
Wow,
as.
dude,
Yeah,
that's so cool that like just a little Samaritan lady opening up her shop. Just she probably didn't know what was going to happen. It's like, hell yeah, I'll help you out.
yeah, dude. And literally, as I got off the street, the place flooded with police everywhere. So it was like I got out of the street like just in time, just in
Hey,
time.
you're like a ghost, hey, at that point. Like I bet they're
Yeah.
just like, who are we even looking for? Like, where
Dude,
are
and
they?
and before the thing that was crazy though is before I did it, I deleted all my social media and stuff. Because I wanted a chance to be anonymous still. And but one newspaper did post, and it was pretty crazy because I actually had a call from somebody in Australia before I'd even got back to the car to say, was that you? Like, it was mad.
No
And
way.
then yeah, dude, it was crazy. And then yeah, then it was all over the papers and stuff, and it was pretty cool because there was a statement from the police saying, we can't do anything. He bought a ticket, he wasn't trespassing. So I was like, sweet, I'm in the clear.
Yeah.
And one of the papers posted like a screenshot with the news article online saying that someone's base jumped off the shard. It was a picture of me jumping a different building that had obviously been taken off one of my social medias beforehand, before I took them down. It's a completely different building as well. So they knew, or either they
Yeah.
knew it was me or they'd taken some stuff as stock for like another time. I don't really get it, but nobody
It's like you
named me
Google
or
like
anything.
base jumping London, maybe there's just like that stock picture and it's like, oh, we'll just use
Maybe.
that, no one knows. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
hey, that's
but anyway,
mad.
yeah,
Hey.
got away with that one. And yeah, that was sweet because it was funny. I had so many texts so quick of people like, "Oh, that was you, wasn't it? That was you." And I was stoked. I was like, "Oh, maybe."
I literally remember hearing about it or seeing it on something, and my brain's just going, I know exactly who that is. There's like one guy
But it kind of
who I
fucked
knew
me
that would
though,
be.
because I was, as soon as I did it, I was like, oh shit, what's next? I need something else now. Like, what's the next one? And like, there's always tons of stuff to do in London, but there wasn't tons of stuff that I was super motivated to do. Like, I mean, I was motivated to jump everything at the time, but like in terms of big missions, there were things like there's certain missions that I just haven't really got much of an interest in, like I nearly got the London Eye legally, but I've never really had an inkling to try get it myself, just because I don't really like the look of it. It's just it doesn't look like something I really want. But I'd be stoked to do
Right.
it as a if someone said, oh, you can jump it for this thing or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, sweet, and that nearly happened, but it's not one I'm chasing. There's much nicer things. I'd much rather jump a building than a Ferris wheel that I think looks ugly. Um,
Yeah, so it's the aesthetics of a building that attract you to go and do them rather than
for
like
sure, man.
maybe the popularity or because obviously
Yeah.
people know what the London Eye the eye is.
Yeah, dude, and
So
that's
it's
like
quite a
you
cool
see
way to
it.
look at it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that makes me want to do London Eye is because you see it on so much tourist stuff. Like, even like walking through the airport, you have all these different pictures everywhere, and London Eye's always in a few of them. And you're like, oh, it's on the list. I need to do it, but I'm not that motivated for it. But yeah, no, it is a funny one. But yeah, definitely the aesthetics. I mean, look, I hate organized religion, but I love jumping off churches, dude. They're beautiful. Like, you know.
That would be a quote for a book if I've ever heard one, Lewis.
Yeah, man. If there's one thing religions do right, it's building good exit points for sure.
There you go. All right. I'm thinking now, like, and I've heard this as well. I've never spoken to you about it that much, but obviously for the Shard, you had this special parachute built. You've really put the time and effort in, and that, paying attention to all the details. Is there other jumps that you've done, like in your very colourful history, where you've had like maybe like different costumes or like specific clothing or like ID
Yeah.
cards or anything like that?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I used to have a wardrobe full of outfits for sure. And there was always different ways for different buildings. I mean, I learned from some of the stuff wasn't my own ideas. Of course, people have been doing this shit forever. I've heard stories of people hiding parachutes in stuffed animals and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Some amazing
I've heard that
stories.
story
And
too.
that stuff inspires me, man. But like my friend Ian, who I was talking about earlier, he did an amazing one where he went as a courier into a building. Like in London, you have all the bicycle couriers and stuff, and he turned up with a parcel with the rig in it, addressed to a business on one of the other floors, and convinced them that he had to hand it over to them, and it couldn't be taken by the front desk. Got up to the floor and hid in a cupboard. And he hid there for something stupid, like 10 hours, waiting for everyone to leave and the wind to die down enough to get this cool jump in the middle of London. Stuff like that always inspired me. So I was always looking for ways. And London, there's so many buildings to jump, but the security is hard in London. Compared to other cities I've jumped around the world, I'd say it's probably the hardest place to get like occupied buildings. Because
Okay.
even the council buildings, even the flats and stuff, because they have a lot of problems, a lot of them, they always have like a strict concierge. So I always
So when
start
when
coming
you
up with
mean
ideas,
problems, what do you mean by problems?
like violence and gangs and stuff like that. A lot of these, like like the blocks, especially, they're in quite the wealth disparity in London is crazy. Like you'll get people parking Bentleys in the same car park as people that can barely afford to eat. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have to have good security. So there's so many cameras everywhere, but there's also usually always a pretty solid concierge on the building who's there day and night, keeping an eye on who comes in and out. And they usually know everyone. So if they see somebody they don't know, they usually challenge you. So you got to come up with ideas. So things like delivery drivers, like I had all kinds of different outfits. I was working on roofs at the time when Deliveroo kicked off, and I paid my labourers to take the day off work to do the cycle around, like the application to be a Deliveroo driver, so they'd get all the uniforms and the big box that they wear on their back. So I'd give them the day off work if they go and do that and give me the uniforms. So I had these big Deliveroo boxes. So I'd go in with the Deliveroo box, take everybody's rig in with me so they could walk in without anything looking dodgy. I'd go in, pick the locks, get everything ready, and then have to jump down with this big box on my chest, or sometimes if it's just me and one other of the small cooler bag ones and stuff. That's
That is
when
so cool.
yeah, that's how I got in when Dukes came to visit London one time, and took him in. I had the delivery set up, got the rigs in, picked the locks and everything. And yes, it's the best way. But there's a ton of different options, man. Like I've heard some amazing stories from people that have inspired me. So I can't take like credit for being a genius that come up with all this shit. But
I mean, if you're hiding in plain sight at that point, aren't you? Because if you're anywhere and you just see a delivery driver, you don't think anything of it. You're not thinking, "Oh, I bet they're a base
man.
jumper. I
Dude,
bet they're up to something." You're just there.
Put a high vis jacket on and carry a ladder. You walk past almost anyone. Like it's amazing. And we were so motivated at the time. Like I was so motivated. I'd do silly things. Like there was a tiny little crane that was by my house in Cambridge, and it was the dirtiest jump. Like I think it was like 120 feet or something, but
Oh yeah.
it had to be, you had to walk all the way out on the arm, and then it had to be directly over this narrow cycleway. But the cycleway had train lines next to it with the high power cables, and then it had like buildings on this side. So you couldn't have an off really. It was like hectic, but it was right at my doorstep, and I was just jumping everything at the time. But it was hardly ever left hanging in the perfect place so that you'd be over the landing area. So I got my wife to go over there and say, pretend she was from the flats on the other side, and say, look, the noise from the fucking crane, like in the wind and everything, is keeping me awake at night. Hang it over the cycle road so that it's not pissing people off. So every night after that, they'd leave it tethered over the other side so we could jump it whenever we wanted. Just stupid little things like that. But yeah, I had a
Very
whole
cool. I like the insights of Sam, your missus, going to help you out, like, you know, with your birthday. Like, she obviously is an advocate and knows that that makes you happy, right? It sounds like she's pretty stoked for you when you're base jumping.
Yeah, she's been around it from the start, and she's seen me go through everything, and she used to come on the base trips with us and ground crew all the time, and it was funny, man. Like, some of the people I used to jump with in the early days, they'd phone her up in the middle of the night. I'd be off jumping in London or somewhere, and they'd be at an antenna, and they'd call her up. Oh, do you remember how high this is? And like, where's the landing area? Like, what do I do? And she'd be giving them ground crew advice from the phone. And you know, I'd come home from work, and she'd have packed my parachute sometimes and stuff. It was crazy.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
man,
So she's like,
I lucked out.
yeah, it sounds like she's I mean, yeah, you definitely did luck out. That's it sounds really good that you've got a very good relationship, and obviously she's supporting you through through your base jump, which is pretty radical, you know. And you guys have kids, right, together?
Yeah, we've got a boy. I've got two boys from my previous marriage when I was in the army. But yeah, we've got a 9-year-old boy together. He's a rad
Nice.
kid. Yeah, he's
And
a rad dude.
cool. So you got two little boys. How do you? I'm just curious now. How do you sort of navigate your jumping and having kids?
It was like I definitely had the same thoughts I think a lot of people have. You know, like the am I selfish and all this and
Mm,
whatnot. And it's like I kind of, Sam helped me kind of understand that I just am not a good person without something like this. Like, I need it. Like, I need it to reset me all the time.
mm,
It's funny, but you know, I wouldn't even say bass makes me happy. I'd say bass makes me normal. It's a tricky one because without it, I'm just like, I just drift. I'm like, what's going on? I just feel like unanchored. But with bass, it's like a big reset button, you know, like, and
yeah.
that's, yeah, like I
Yeah.
thought about this so much, and I've always tried to understand like simple things. Like, it always fascinates me with bass jumping. Like, when you're teaching people and you see them, you know, they're going to do their first free fall, and you tell them, you know, take 2
Mm.
seconds, you know, take a 2 second delay,
They're
and
like,
they
what?
jump.
What do you mean? Take two
Yeah,
seconds?
yeah, but they'll jump off a lot of the time. I noticed that, you know, they'll jump off and they'll be like, "Oh, sorry, man, I took 3. I was just having such a good time." You're like, "Dude, you took half a second. Like, your brain was processing so much data because you were scared that it felt like 3 and it was half a second." And that's, you know, it's the same as when people are in road traffic accidents and like time slowed down. Your
Mm,
brain, and then I started to think about all that, and you realize that your subconscious is way more in control of everything you think and feel than you give it credit for. So it's choosing how you
absolutely.
see the world.
Absolutely.
And so when you start to see that with all the other stuff, like, I started to notice when I'm on an exit point and I'm freaking out and I'm scared, especially when I'm alone and I haven't got the distraction of a friend to talk to or something. You notice you're doing extra checks, you're doing all this, and then you realize that it's actually your brain's trying to talk you out of the jump. Your brain's trying to make you scared. It's trying to say, you know, you don't have to jump. Like, we can just walk away. Like, you know, this might not be safe. You shouldn't be here on your own. Like, who's going to save you if you get
Yeah.
injured? And you're going through all these things, which are valid questions, but you know, you weren't thinking of them up till that point as much. But suddenly on the exit, it speeds up, it accelerates because it's trying to like figure out a way to stop you from putting yourself at risk. But the second you step off the edge, a switch goes and you're calm. You're calm. You go from hyper, like, excited and nervous because your brain realizes that's not helpful anymore. your brain suddenly thinks, okay, what's going to be helpful now is for him to focus. So you forget about everything else. You focus on the task. Time slows down. You have time to react. And I think the people that end up getting in trouble usually, like especially in Slider Down, are the people that don't have that, where their brain doesn't really work in that way, and everything is still at full speed, and you just can't. You need your subconscious to do the work. Otherwise, if you have a 180,
it's a super interesting way. Like I couldn't have nodded more when you were saying everything then. Like in agreement of, I totally agree with everything you just said. Like with all the jumps that I've done, it happens, Oh, what about this? Oh, what happens if this happens? That little like voice in your head. But as soon as you go off, you are, I would say, calmness for me. It's complete calmness. I'm just like, hell fucking yeah, this is sick. And I've always referred to that calmness as a flow state. I've reached flow state. Would you agree that that is a flow state? Because you're talking about like the psychology of bass now, right?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's a flow state in terms of, I think a flow state is when your subconscious takes over and does the work. I think, if you watch a really good drummer, you watch Danny Carey playing Numa or something like
God.
that. Dude, he cannot remember all that. Like, you can't physically, in the moment, remember and play it in real time. You can't. You've got to get into a flow state. You need part of your brain to access the data and just take control. And I think that's what flow state is.
That's flow state, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what flow state is. And I think this is kind of a slightly different, whereas you are in control of what your body's doing, but your brain is in control of the speed and in control of the feelings that you're feeling at the time, because it doesn't give you panic. Like, surely falling towards the ground, you should have panic. You should have more panic than when you were standing on the edge and you could choose not to jump. Surely things should get scarier and crazier, but they don't. It's the other way around, and it becomes, like you say, calm. And I remember it. Like I've always been scared of flying. Like I'm genuinely scared of heights, and learning to skydive was terrifying. But the terror was always in the plane on the way up. Like as soon as we got out the door, it was calm. Like, and it was cool.
What do you reckon was that terror of being in the plane? Do you picture like the worst case scenario, like, oh, the engine's going to set on fire, we're going to crash, like, or what was it that got you so scared about it?
I think it's not being in control. I think that's what it is. I think I'm really good at I'm terrible at like not being in control. It freaks me out. Like
okay.
Same roller coasters scare me, which is stupid. Like I'm scared of stupid things, but it's always where it's something I'm not in control of.
But you're not scared of base jumping because you are in control of it.
No, I'm terrified of base jumping, dude. I'm terrified because I know that something can happen where I'm not in control. I know line twists can happen that are so bad that I can't get them out in the time, especially on the short jumps. Like if I have a 180 that's too low of a jump to do a 180 turn and get away with it. And it's amazing that the times where I've like been really close to dying in bass, I don't have any recollection of any thought process of fixing it. It just fixed itself. Like I turned the 180s and
it just did it. You didn't even think.
Yeah, literally jump off, know I've had a 180 and then I'm facing the right way around. And I watch the video afterwards and I do everything. And I do everything so quickly. It's like, how? The same, like I had a bridle wrap around the camera. Like I should have died. I don't know anyone that's survived that. And
the only ones I've heard of have always ended up with the worst case scenario.
Yeah, and watching the video back, I'll grab the bridle and unwrap it, and all this happens off a 500-foot building, and it's, I don't remember consciously deciding to fix that. So I do think, there's so much to it. If your subconscious can override you like that, then it's going to be a big kind of plus in bass, definitely, for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that when you're in that moment, it's obviously fucking chaotic, right? You've got a bridle wrapped around your camera. When that's happening at that point, are you feeling like a calmness through your body?
Complete calm. Like I remember on that particular jump, once it clears, I let out a little giggle, like wow, it fixed itself, kind of. But you didn't. You fixed it, and you just don't even realize it's never. I can't remember ever screaming or shouting in a fucked up situation. Like it's
Yeah.
always kind of been calm and taking care of itself. But I don't give my conscious any credit, dude. I'm a dumbass. But my subconscious is fucking ninja. It's saved me so many times.
It's really, I like the perspective a lot of the things you're talking about, and you're linked to Danny Carey. And for anyone listening who doesn't know who Danny Carey is, he is hands down probably one of the best drummers of all time, and plays in a band called Tool. And Tool play in this sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, Lewis, but Tools, they don't play four beats, four beats, four beats. It's all like
Nah,
random numbers, like 5 and 8s. It's like Da Vinci Code
yeah.
beats. It's incredible, but it all comes together, and it is just the most, like, I'm talking about it, dude. I have full goosebumps because I love Tool, and they are just fantastic. But the drummer is just out of
Yeah.
this world, man.
Yeah. Like I do not understand how you can divide your brain into like 4 or 5
Yeah.
different spots and play 4 or 5 different rhythms. It's like rubbing your head, patting your tummy, and fucking doing a million other things at once. It makes no sense to
Making
me.
a cake with your foot, trying to
Yeah.
fucking do some art with your left hand, like,
Yeah, it's insane.
It's really
It
impressive.
is insane, super impressive. And I don't even think that's something that you can train for. I think you've got to be born with a mind that can do this shit. You know how, like, when you're a kid, like if you learn languages as a kid, you find it way easier to learn other languages when you're older.
Mhm.
I think if you're like some ninja multitasker as a kid, that's when you want to be a drummer afterwards. Like you're gonna be able to do shit
Yeah.
like that.
I guess as well, there is like a link here as well that I see with what you're saying, is I think there's definitely attributes that make a good bass jumper too. And you've brought it up. It's like right in the storm when it's the most chaotic it can be, you got to be calm. You got to have
Yeah.
your shit together. Maybe that's like something you learned from the military, or maybe it's something that's just an inbuilt thing that you have that makes you really good.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I I do have one theory, and it's kind of dark, but I was in a pretty bad place when I started base jumping, and maybe it kind of started with an acceptance that I didn't really give a fuck.
Okay.
Maybe like I remember my very first one. I remember when the parachute opened, I was surprised, and then when I
Right.
landed, I was on my own. It was so dark, and I remember being super like introspective afterwards. I'm like, if I am surprised it opened, why the fuck did I jump? So I was in a pretty dark place when I started base jumping. Base jumping was what brought me around and made life awesome
Okay.
again. But yeah, it was it's a weird one. So I don't know if having that experience at the start of being calm anyway because I didn't care, and then maybe
Right.
it just carried on. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But yeah, I remember that being a really kind of like that. It weren't enough to stop me jumping, but it was enough to make me think and to like reassess.
So you feel like in some ways it's like base jumping almost saved you from this dark place, right?
Yeah, I think maybe like because I always I always saw people that like I'd seen people that had committed suicide. I always saw them as cowards. For me it was always growing up that was something you did if you were a pussy. Like that wasn't. Do you know what I mean? If you commit suicide, you're a dickhead. And then base jumping, I think initially might have been like a coward's way out, like a coward's suicide. Like I don't want to
Okay.
admit to being a pussy, but I'll happily do something that might kill me, kind of thing.
So it's taking risk. It's taking risk with knowing the outcome could be what it is, and just being like, oh, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, maybe even hoping that was the outcome.
Yeah.
It
It's
was
really
kind
the
of
sport.
exciting. Yeah.
It's like that. I think the sport's always really, and I'm a big advocate for this. I've always told people the only reason I do this is because it's literally the highest form of living you can have.
Mhm.
So why
Yeah.
would you die doing something that gives you the highest form of life? Like
Yes.
because
So
it's so
that's
fucking powerful.
that was something I found out with it, and that's why it turned my life around so much. Because suddenly I was like, "Oh shit, I'm having the best time ever." Like I've gone from this dark place where I was I picked this thing for the wrong reasons, and now I realize this is actually exactly what I needed. This is the medicine, and
Wow.
and yeah, for me that was like an instant change in my life, dude. Like I'm a really introverted person. Like I don't socialize much at all. Like I'm really picky with my friends. Like I don't if I usually know straight away if I'm going to click with someone and if they're going to be, and if they do, then I'll die for them. But it's
Yep.
yeah, I've always been funny like that, and bass kind of sorted everything out for me because like it didn't take long before it kind of forced me to have a social life. It forced me, and I did have a. I'm kind of bullshitting a bit there because I was really into BMX at the time as well, but I had my BMX friends, but I was really close with them when I was riding, but then I'd disappear. Like as close as, and I'm really close with a couple of those guys still now, but like when I was 16, I joined the army. I didn't tell anyone. I just disappeared. And then 6 years later or 7 years later, just turned back up. Like I just dip out and go. But yeah, bass kind of forced me back into being social again and like meeting cool people and finding it's like having a great time again. Like life was really good.
It's cool to hear that it's cool to hear that you've found like your own medicine. Like I like that base jumping gives you that, because it does make you feel like alive, and there's cool things and there's good missions around it and the social environment, and then obviously the places you get to see, the people you get to meet, the food you get to eat. It's like a lot of times when you're base jumping, especially for you as well, you're like, well, I literally wouldn't be here if I wasn't
Dude.
doing this sport, which
Yeah,
is why it's so sick.
imagine you spend your whole life and don't get to see the Dolomites. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
How
after
depressing
seeing
can
it, I
that be?
can't imagine that, dude. Yeah, I can't imagine that. Like, and I'm not a
Yeah.
terminal guy, but seeing those mountains coming from a country and coming from a part of the country that's so flat, it's like flat as a pancake around it. And then and seeing big mountains like that, dude, I was shocked. Like, and the same, like things like Moab, like the desert. I never wanted to go Moab.
Mm.
I was like, fuck, I don't want to go to the desert. I like the ocean. I like jungle. I like lush places. Desert sounds horrible. Got there and I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I feel at home. This is the place.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and also, well, I was just thinking then, the trip we were on last year in China, that was like, how amazing was that trip with everybody?
Dude, so many good people on that trip. So many good people.
Yeah. A
Obviously
lot of good
sad.
people, a lot
Yeah.
of good jumps too as well. So, yeah, just some cool objects,
Dude,
some
I am gonna be
goodish food.
oh man, the food is rough. Oh, proper fanboy moment, but fucking getting the wingsuit jump with you there was one of the scariest, but one of the highlights for me with base jumping, because I used to watch your wingsuit videos all the time, like when I actually wanted to be a terminal jumper. Like when I started base, that was kind of the goal. Like I watched Yoki Summer's Dreamlines with Ludo,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, one day we're gonna do this shit. It's gonna be epic and stuff. And then one, I did one. This is when I first started. I had like 40, 50 jumps. Went to Brento, hated it. Like hated it strong. It felt like a drop zone, and that was kind of what I was trying to get away
Yeah.
from.
A very different environment from sort of sneaking around in London trying to open buildings and
Yeah,
then
and it
being
had all.
somewhere like, oh, you got to pay the money for the bus and
Yeah, and it
hike
was
this
still a
way. You're like,
funny,
oh,
funny time. Like it was still in the era where nobody was allowed to call it Brento online. Everyone was like trying to pretend that it was still a secret thing, and it just
yeah.
wasn't. It's like the
It
ITW,
was actually in Slovenia.
and then yeah, like Death Star. But
Yeah.
but the after that, I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe Terminal's not where it's at. And then I went to Lauterbrunnen shortly after that, and I had a great time in Lauterbrunnen because I was with a good crew, like a load of the Frenchies there, and we all sucked at Terminal, so we were like kind of just having fun, and it was cool running off with tracking suits. But I had a moment, like there was a couple there, and they were good friends of Ludo's, and when Ludo went in, and I'm sorry if this isn't 100% true to how they actually felt, because I only met them that morning, so I can only say what they told me, but they had retired from base because of Ludo's fatality, and they had a
Yeah.
family, they had kids, small kids, and then realized that they couldn't live without it, and it was their comeback trip, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I went on a jump and they're both wingsuiters. I went on a jump off high nose and with the guy's wife while he watched the kids, and she had a great jump. She was super stoked. I was like buzzing because I'm like I got to watch like this wingsuiter jump off, and I was still stoked. Like I'm going to be a wingsuiter one day. It's going to be sick.
One day,
And
mate. One day. Yeah.
one day, and then we landed. We're all buzzing. We drive over to Low Ultimate to watch her husband jump, and he slipped off the exit. And but it was weird because oh man, fuck, that was the first time I can really remember being around David Lafargue, and he was solid, man. Everyone, the mood was so somber, and he was such a good dude, man. He took care of the guy's wife. He was just
Wow.
like I always saw him as like the stuff I'd seen online is just this comedian, like after attention and all this. But fuck, he was solid as a rock, man. Like I was just a new jumper there. No one give a fuck about me, but he was there just hanging out with everyone and making sure people were cool and good dude. And I remember like I'd seen quite a bit of death leading up to that. Not from the army. I'd seen it elsewhere, and I'd never been phased by any of it. And but I do remember seeing the body bag get lowered down, and I remember it going feet, knees, chest, and I remember seeing that, thinking, "Oh, that's weird. You can see it's a human now." I remember as soon as it happened, I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna go do a wingsuit jump." It was. I remember it just as the first thing I thought. It's like, "Fuck, I'm gonna go and do one." And the guy that I'd gone on the trip with, he was like a way more experienced skydiver. He'd put in the work, and I hadn't. Like I'd done some skydives, but I hadn't put the work in for terminal, not at all. I just didn't have the money for it. But I did have a wingsuit. So the next morning, I snuck off on my own and took my wingsuit to Lemmings because that's the exit I felt safest on. Like I just felt comfortable there. I liked it, and that was the first time I bumped into Stanislav, the Russian.
Okay. Yeah. Russian. Yeah.
So I got on the train, and he saw me and saw my stash bag, and he's like, "Oh, can I join you? You going to Lamousse?" And I went, "Yeah." He goes, "Can I join you?" And I went, "Yeah, of course, man." I kind of wanted to be on my own because I knew I was going to be freaking out. But you can't say no, can you? You can't say no. Fuck off, mate. I don't want to hang out with you. And so he gets on the train, and he goes, "Oh, I've got another guy joining us at like the next stop." And this guy, I think it was German, gets on with his dog. I'm like, "Oh, he's not jumping." He goes, no, he's not a base jumper. He's just coming with us. So we do the hike and everything. The guy's dog nearly gets washed off the waterfall on the hike.
Yeah.
Like almost lost his dog. Yeah. And then we get to the exit point, and I'm getting my wingsuit out, and I'm trying to fucking make sure it's zipped up right. It still kind of looks like a Chinese puzzle to me or something. I just can't figure it out, but I get it together. And Stas says to the guy, "Oh, do you mind if I jump straight after this guy and you lower yourself down?" I'm like, "What do you mean lower yourself down? What the fuck's going on here?" And then the guy's like, "Yeah, all right, no worries." And he lays down, and Stas starts putting hooks through his chest, like big meat hooks through his chest, and rigs up this rope right by the exit point and hoists this guy up into this tree, hands the guy the rope. So the guy's holding himself there, like hanging from this pulley in the tree, and I'm sitting there in my wingsuit freaking out. And yeah,
It's like a Russian pinata above you.
Yeah, dude, honestly, that's exactly what it was like. It looked like a dead body hanging in the tree next to me, and I'm sitting there in a wingsuit thinking,
what is happening right now?
Yeah, it was surreal. And yeah, so the jump went fine, jumped off like miraculously. I'm like, how the fuck did that work? Luckily, it wasn't a very big wingsuit, and it was pretty chill, and just cruised down the wall a tiny bit, opened, like, sweet, it worked. I didn't die. And
Yeah.
and I remember landing, like, being pretty stoked, but not as stoked as I thought I'd be. And I just put it down to all the chaos that was just happening on the exit point. I was like,
yeah, maybe like I take it the day before was the accident. Was this the same day?
Yeah, it was the evening. Yeah, the last jump of the day before. So.
That's a lot of weight to mentally carry. You know?
Yeah,
like,
but I felt
do my first wingsuit jump. It seems like an appropriate time.
It sounds sick, but it kind of inspired me. I'm like, it'd be real scary to do it now. And it was, but it was fine. And then the next morning, the guy that I was on the trip with kind of disowned me over it. He was so pissed off at me, which fair enough, dude. He didn't want to hang out with me because I was being loose, and I don't think he properly talked to me again for years after that. And then the next jump I did, the Frenchies came along, and I jumped off first. Same thing, chill flight, opened, sweet, all good, landed. And then I just watched them all bundle off the exit point like chaos. And I was like, that looks more fun. That looks way more fun. And it's probably way less dangerous than what I'm doing right now. And I think I did 3 more wingsuit jumps. And each one I started flying closer to the wall. I'm 5 wingsuit
Mm.
jumps in. I don't even know how to fly a wingsuit. And I'm already getting to the point where I want to. So I zipped up the wingsuit. I didn't do another terminal jump for 6 years.
Wow.
I think, yeah, 6 years. Didn't do
You're
another
like,
one.
I will just, because you kind of, it sounds to me like you knew if you did it, like you're going to die doing it for sure, right?
Yeah, it was one way, and it was so quick.
Yeah.
Like after 5 jumps, I had to start trying to get close to the wall, or it was just going to get boring. I couldn't believe it. Like I remember the moment that the wingsuit started flying. I was like, I feel like I'm under canopy. Unless you get close to something, I just felt like I was floating.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
Um,
kind of just cruising around. And then obviously the closer to the terrain and the proximity you are to things, that's when you're like, oh shit, I'm actually
yeah,
moving forward. It's pretty good here. Like it's fast,
yeah. So yeah, that really kind of made me think about it, and I was like, oh man, I've been having loads of fun slider down, like and subterminal and just chaos jumping. I'm like, that's that makes more sense. And yeah, for like I say, 6 years. I mean, I did want to go back and try it some more, but I was like, why would I spend what little money? Because I'd basically quit my job by that point. I'd
Uh-huh.
like,
Why did you quit your job? What was the reason for
I
that?
just couldn't think of anything other than base jumping. That's all I wanted to do. So I was like,
Okay.
right, I literally was selling all my skydive gear to fund base trips and spending every penny I had and just living cheaply and base jumping. That was all I wanted to do. And it was hard. Like before I actually fully quit, I had to, it was kind of sad because I had to lay off. I had a bunch of people working for me and I had to get rid of them because I wasn't reliable. Like if the winds were good, I wasn't
And this, I
going to
take it,
work.
this is your own business, right?
Yeah. So I just threw that away. I was like, I don't need that right now. I just need to be happy right now. And base was making me happy. So this is way more important. And I
Yeah.
just started traveling. I mean, that first year I spent, every month I spent a week in France, hanging out with friends there, just jumping and having the best time of my life. Like it was perfect. So
So this is like your peak of jumping is, and how long ago was this now?
that was I started in 2013, but the first year was mostly sort of jumping solo jumps a lot, like around the
Trying to figure it
UK.
out.
Yeah, I did like 10 jumps off I found this horrible antenna. Like it was the only thing I could see from my city that looked high, and it's like an 800-foot antenna, super high radiation or whatever it puts out, high security, like hard to get in, and just the worst climb ever. Like the ladder was so tight that you had to climb with one hand and hold your stash bag below you.
Oh wow,
It
so proper
it
tight on it.
it sucked. It sucked big time. But I didn't know there was anything else. Turns out there was way better stuff like right by me, but but I didn't know. Like, and then I did like 10 jumps on my own. Apart from one jump I did with the legend, this guy Jamie Dobson, who I did my first skydives with. He flew camera on my first skydives. He's the guy that you almost definitely seen that runs and stalls the backflip off the gainer off Beachy Head.
Yeah, seeing that,
Super
and he goes, "Oh fuck."
fuck a duck. Yeah. Nicest nicest guy in the world. He's one of those people that when he's not jumped for a long time, he thinks he can just pick up where he left off, and it's
Yeah, it's not the
terrifying.
case.
Nah, it's terrifying.
See, I guess I got another question to ask you while we're sort of talking about your first few jumps. Was your intro into base jumping, like, what was it? Because I remember seeing
Oh,
you like a long
yeah.
time ago. You were at the bridge, I think, in Verrières with Jamie's when we first met, right?
Yeah, so it's before that. So it was kind of fucked up, really, and I don't recommend it to anyone. But um, I'd started skydiving, and I was real lucky. Like when I learnt to skydive in Portugal on like a week trip thing, came back and I went to the drop zone in the middle of the week, and there was a couple of really good free flyers there, and they just basically for a laugh said, "Oh, come jump with us," and forced me to learn free flying with them. And so there's all their crew, like of all these real good skydivers, all doing head down carving and stuff. And there's me just floating around trying to sit fly, and they just took me under their wings. So I was like part of the crew, which was sick. made me progress super fast. And one of them was an old school base jumper, but it was still, the UK was still real kind of cloak and dagger and like clicky and secretive, and nobody post anything online. It was all,
Mm.
which, you know, is kind of, looking back now, I was probably the fucktard that ruined it. But well, I say ruined it, changed it. But yeah,
Modernized it. There you go.
yeah. And this old school jumper, he was like the mentor for people like in that area. He was the guy, but he was quite a intense dude, and it was hard to get him to teach you. Like, it was a real hard jumping through hoops thing. You know, you'd be ground crewing for years and all that stuff. And I knew I needed to do it. And then I was on a jump where there was a really bad fatality, and like one of my friends that got tangled up with another guy, and they both fell down under a partial canopy. Like, my friend went feet first and kind of crumple zoned his legs and his back and everything, but he was still alive. But the other guy was spinning horizontal and slapped the floor.
Oh.
So he was dead outright, but they were still tangled up.
Where was this when this happened?
Sibson, Peterborough, like UK.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I was like holding my friend's head whilst we were still tangled up to the dead guy, and then the guy's friend was trying to give him CPR, but you could see he was crushed.
Yeah.
It was a pretty grisly one.
Yeah, it sounds grisly.
Yeah, and after that, the whole kind of drop zone vibe kind of changed. Everyone got a little bit more serious, and but it just happened that I'd ordered a rig. So I'd ordered this base rig, and not long after that, I let this guy know, look, I've ordered a base rig. I want to start base jumping, and the drop zone basically disowned me, like, there and then.
Really?
Yeah, like, no one wanted to talk to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was a fucktard as well. Like, I was drinking a lot and partying a lot as well. But that was, you could tell that was kind of the thing. They were just like, no. Like, you've got not enough jumps. You haven't been in this long enough. Like, just no.
How many jumps did you have at the time when you bought that rig?
When I bought the rig, I probably had like 60, 70 jumps. When it arrived, I probably had like 100 or close to. Not a lot. So I was kind of.
How did you feel getting disowned from there? Because obviously it's like you found this community and these people that you probably look up to, and it's a nice place to be, and then you just.
Man, it was home. Like, I was there all the time. Like, I was staying at the drop zone all the time. Like, it was like I'd found the community. I was stoked, and then it was just. But the thing is, I think it was kind of, you know, it's never a good thing because people got hurt and someone died. But because the accident happened just before that, it was easier for me to cut ties with them, because the whole tone of the place had changed. So I went to another drop zone, which was like a tandem factory, and just kind of slotted myself in there in the background, and the parachute arrived, and I spent like, oh man, it was so funny because I guess I can say it now because he's dead, but my skydive instructor, he signed me off for my packing certificate in the bar, and I'd never packed a parachute in my life, so I never actually learned to pack a skydive parachute, so I didn't know what any of the lines were called. I didn't know anything, so I'd go in the packing hall, and I'd stand there and I would just look at whoever was packing, and I would watch and copy the motions, but I never actually knew what I was doing. But I always thought, I've got reserve, it'll be all right. And
someone else has packed it, whatever.
yeah. So I never actually learnt to pack properly. So then when I got the base rig, I stuck the Adrenaline Base packing DVD, and they're like, yeah, grab your C lines. And I'm like, what the fuck's a C line? So I'm like trying to find out what's what. It took me ages. I'm like, this is like Jedi shit. I don't understand anything. So I started going on YouTube, and I'm looking for shit. And I found this guy that had made like a miniature base parachute, like a toy one. And he had a video of him packing it like a proper pack job. And it was the easiest one to understand. So that's how I learned to pack a base parachute. I was sitting there copying this guy packing a model parachute.
And did you end up packing your rig like that? And then yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's how I jumped it. Yeah, for a while. Yeah, for quite a while. I mean, eventually I changed my methods. You know, I'd pick up things off other people. But the good thing is, because I was on my own, I was so paranoid about everything that I had to understand everything. Like, it weren't good enough for me to know how, I had to know why. and
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
something I teach people now. Like, it's not good enough to know how to do something. You have to understand what's the reason. Like, if somebody does something in a pack job slightly different to you and they say, oh, you should do it like this, you have to ask them why.
Yeah.
That's where the whole Lemmings based thing comes from. It's because the people that I was jumping with were too often just doing whatever I did and not asking why we're doing it that way. And someone pulled them up on it. They're
Right.
like, why you lot are like, someone actually said you lot are like fucking lemmings. You're just following Lewis and doing what he does. It's like, but yeah, that's where that comes from. But you're
Cool.
completely right about it being like organized chaos in a way, and I had some conflict with that over when I started posting videos and stuff, because people didn't realize, like, I spent a lot of time at the big bridges in France, and in all the weeks that I did there, I never did a single training aerial off the big bridge there, the slider up bridge. I never actually trained an aerial. All I did was train for chaos. All I did was fall off it unstable in as many different ways as I could. So I trained to be able to fix problems. And people would see the stupid exits and the being like doing silly things off it, but it had a purpose. The whole purpose was so that if I went head low off an exit and flipped or whatever, I would be in a position to fix it. And I always tell people when they're there, like, that the main thing is to get unstable, because that's the perfect place to be unstable.
I think I've connected some dots here, because before, when you were talking, you said you had the bridle wrap around your camera and you just did it. You just did it, and then you were like, "Ooh, that was fun." I was like, "Wow, I wonder how he trained that." And I think that is how that was trained, is by all those training jumps off of the big slider up bridge in France, which we won't say the name of.
Yeah.
But training that specifically, it becomes second nature, and that's something that people don't see, right?
But yeah, the whole time it was the opposite. It wasn't, people didn't see it. They saw the opposite. They just saw us being silly and thought that, oh, you can just get away with being a fucktard, but there was purpose to everything. Like, we would, I jumped with a group of friends that I learnt to trust, and gradually, you know, none of this happened overnight. We would jump, it happened in a short space of time, but it didn't happen in a short amount of jumps. We were jumping so much that things happened quick. And once we knew that we could trust each other, we were always doing like 3 or 4 ways in tight proximity, and we would almost make it a point to not have a deployment plan. We would make sure we were all being aware of who was in the right position to pitch when, and we would trust that, you know, this guy knows that after a couple of seconds, if he's still high, he's going to pitch, and it always works. You know, it took time to get there, but we got in a position where it would always be, the plan was, we will figure it out. We're going to do this stupid thing and we will figure it out. And we make sure we have eye contact. We make sure we don't lose anyone. We know, you know, because otherwise it can work really against you. You know, if you've got a strict plan, and I've seen it loads of times, like, oh, you're high guy, I'm low guy. You fuck up the count because guess what? 3, 2, 1, see ya. Where do you jump? See or yeah? You know, there's enough time to fuck it up. And so you kind of, you see people that have so rigidly decided that they have to be high guy, and suddenly they're the low guy. And then you see them throwing pilot shoots at their friends and stuff like that. So you got to be in the moment and adjust if you need to, and that's key, I think.
Yeah, and you obviously built like a huge amount of trust with your friends that you were jumping with, which is part of it, right? Like, I know we'll know this as well. Is there's probably people you go jumping with, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I don't, you know, I'm going jumping with Jeff tonight, and Jeff always takes it low. Jeff's the low guy all the time. So when you are organizing multi-ways, you can kind of trust the fact that Jeff will probably be the low guy. He's not going to want to be the high guy, right? So you kind of almost find slots for yourself naturally, right, within your friendship group.
Yeah, but just also trusting that if something goes wrong, they're going to look before they make a decision. You know, they're not going to hose you down to the ground because they don't want to pitch and stuff like that. It's, you know, it's got to be dynamic in that way, which is good, man. And it is a lot of trust. Like, there aren't many, I don't do many multi-ways. Like, I'm always pretty nervous. Like, you see in China, like doing 3-ways, I'm like, oh, you know, make sure you go where you say you're going to go, because I haven't jumped with you that much. And even though we've got all the time in the world, but no, it's cool, man. But yeah, it was always kind of, it always looked a lot more chaotic than it was. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, we were still super inexperienced. We were making mistakes. Like, there was a guy I used to jump with, and I've got this amazing photo that Sam took of the 3 of us, and we jumped off the smaller bridge in France, still big bridge, but and I think I was the most experienced guy on the load with about 50 jumps or something. We decided to do a freeway waterfall, but free fall it. And,
Okay.
and yeah, and the first guy had a big hesitation, like a really big hesitation. And
Oh God.
it's amazing because I've got video of it as well, and I'm looking across, and you can just see a big arc of bridle, and then just a pilot chute flapping, and I'm just sitting there like, well, I can't do anything. Like, there's nothing for me to do it, so I'm just watching, and eventually it opened, but it was way too low, and from where Sam was standing, the photo she took, I'm disappearing behind the trees without a canopy still.
Yeah.
Like it's not clever, not good. So we were fucking up a lot. Like we didn't understand the gear. Like the antenna that I learnt off, that 800 fat antenna, the I started jumping with a guy that had done an Apex course, and I think he did 6 jumps. And because he had done one PCA on it, no, he had done one static line, he was kind of automatically promoted to the static line guy, and I taught him how to PCA from all the videos I'd watched, and I was like, right, they all do this, and this is what it looks like, and stuff. And we found 190-foot antenna, and to us, I mean, that was me more than quarter of, like less than quarter of my standard jump. So I was like, holy shit, this is, we're going in the
Yeah.
trees at best here. There's no way. And it all worked out perfectly, but we were the blind leading the blind for sure. We didn't have a clue.
You're sparking a lot of memories for me.
Yeah, man, it's chaos back in the day. It's chaos. I feel like I'm talking like an old timer, but yeah, it must have been. Imagine doing it with skydive gear, bro.
Mm.
That's
Yeah, it's I mean that's proper badass when you think about that. Like, oh, I wonder if this will work.
I mean, I always thought that like those guys are the hardcore guys, but then you think they were super hardcore. But man, it's like every generation has the new boundaries. You got every dude and his dog flying through cracks and holes and stuff in wingsuits now, and it's like, man, and there's always everyone's always trying to one up everyone else. Like I remember going to Beachy Head when I didn't have many jumps, and I remember stowing my pilot chute, and there was a group of jumpers from like the south coast that were there that I didn't really know, and they're like, fucking hell, you're going stowed. It's like 100-meter jump, like 350 odd feet or something. And they're like, you're crazy, you're going stowed. I remember Gareth Jones, he gained it, and everybody said he was a lunatic. Like he's got a death wish, he'll be dead in no time. And yeah, he died, but he didn't die because he fucked a base jump up. He was pretty solid, but yeah, it's crazy.
He slipped, didn't he, off exit, Gareth?
Yeah,
right? He slipped off exit, hiking maybe, was it?
He was in Australia scoping an exit with Bobby McKenty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
super sad. He was a really nice guy as well.
Yeah, and classic story. He'd retired once. It's man, it doesn't want to let you go. What do you replace it with? You can't. You can't retire. Well, you got to replace it with something crazier. You can't. I mean, it takes a special human, it takes a human that's got their shit together to be able to walk away. It's nice when there's something new to jump on. Like same as you get the Harley out and ride like an idiot for a little bit. You can sometimes scare yourself like base, but with the added benefit of life insurance.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not like an idiot. I almost like really enjoy connecting with doing something where like all outside noises just turn off.
Yeah, but for me that peacefulness only comes from getting past the terror. That's the problem. Yeah, you need that moment of like, oh my god, don't do it, I'm gonna die, and then you step off, then you get the peace, then you get the one pointedness of mind that all Buddhists are trying to achieve, where you just think about that one thing. And base jumping is 100% the cheat code for that, because our subconscious takes over because it knows we need to. In yoga, you're sitting in a nice safe place, sitting on a mat. You can sit there and try your hardest to switch the world off, to switch off all the bullshit in your mind. But base jumping does it for you. You don't have to think of it doing it. It just happens. It happens because your brain knows you need it to happen. And you get this, I think, and I can't say for sure because I'm no yogi, man. I don't fucking know. But I think you get the same effects. You get that same, obviously it's not like enlightenment. That's a different thing the Buddhists talk about, where you think about nothing. Mm-hmm. That's something else. But like, you're a fucking good Buddhist if you can get to one pointedness of mind. And you can be a shit base jumper and get there just as easy. Like way easier, sorry. Way easier. All you got to do is be scared. If you're scared and you jump anyway, you'll get there because your brain will just go, right, stop thinking about the other shit, focus on this task because otherwise you're going to die. And then you get there. And then afterwards, you notice you feel sometimes for days, you feel chill. The bullshit's still there.
Yeah, I can agree.
The bullshit's still going on around you.
Yeah.
But your mind is clung on to that feeling of everything doesn't matter. There's like things way more important and just chill.
You know how you were saying like, oh, you know, maybe if you're in like a warm room doing yoga and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to get to my one pointedness of mind or whatever. I'm like, yeah, well, why not like put like pit bulls and like sharks with laser beams and set it on fire and now do yoga?
Yeah, you'll figure it out real quick, you know, mate. Start out yoga for punks. Let's fucking do it. But yeah, man, mate. So yeah, that's definitely like I love thinking about all that shit. I find it fascinating. I really do. But at the same time, it's like fuck me. You know, we're so much less in control than we think we are of so many things. It's nuts. Which, you know, for a control freak, it's an interesting thing.
Yes, yeah. I really enjoy the psychology side of things with base jumping and seeing why people do it. Like, and everyone has such different walks of life within base jumping. You've got people who are delivery drivers, people who work for charities, like people who are doctors. Like, I've met some really amazing people in the sport. Do you reckon they come together for the same feeling, or is it different? Like,
I don't think it's the same feeling. I remember talking to, I mean, he's a pretty unique dude. I don't know many people like him, but there's a guy that I used to jump with a lot. I remember saying to him, and I remember it really clearly, I remember exactly what jump it was on as well, and it was a real scary landing area because it was blind and there was a lot of traffic, and we used to have this deal that we alternated who had to jump first, and it always seemed to fall that I had the scary, shitty ones, and he got away with it. But this one jump, the first guy down could ground crew, but the first guy was jumping blind, and there was regularly oncoming like big, heavy goods lorries and stuff. So I remember being terrified and saying to him, fucking, I hope this never stops getting scary because I don't want to quit this. Like, it's too fun. He goes, I wish it was never scary. And he really genuinely just hated the fear side of it. He wanted it to just be calm all the time. So I do think people are different, but then it's hard to think what's the perfect mind for base. What's the safest mind? Or, you know, safest might not even be perfect. Who's going to have the most fun is always perfect. But that might be the thing
that's
that
your philosophy,
kills you.
right? Is like, you know, you spoke about that before, like, you know, you've gone and base jumped off the Shard. You've pretty much, well, you're the only person to do it in the world, but you found so much more happiness doing some shitty antenna with your mates afterwards.
I always say the same thing to everybody when I'm talking to new jumpers. And I always say that, you know, the best base jumper in the world is the one that's the happiest in the landing area. It doesn't matter what happens on the jump, but the most stoked guy in the landing area is the best base jumper in the world. And I mean that. Like, when I see people stoked in the landing area, I don't care what happened on my jump. That guy's the rock star, you know?
If you see that person, now I'm just curious about this. You see that person, you say, that is a good trait to have that makes the best base jumper. It's the guy that's in the landing area, he's super stoked. What about the opposite? What trait makes like someone a dangerous base jumper? The opposite side of it.
Man, I hate when I'm teaching someone a base jump and they land and they're like, yeah, that was cool. And they're just not emotional at all. Like, it's just, you know, they seem to have enjoyed it, but it's not caused that spark in them. And that scares the shit out of me because that person's got to do something wild to feel something, you know? I think if you're not scared of this, then you should try your best to find something else because it will eat people up, you know. All these wingsuiters that, man, I jump with people that I know I'm better at flying a parachute than, like way better, and I'll be on jumps and they're completely chill and I'm like nervous as fuck, and that scares me so much because I'm like, oh man, you ain't even gonna see it coming. Like, you ain't gonna see when it's about to fucking punish you. You're gonna be you know, you're not on the exit point going over a million different scenarios before you jump, which, you know, I think you need to do. I know it's usually stall tactics, your brain just trying to stall, do that third check, whatever. But it's, you know, there was a guy that died quite recently, and he was so chill about base. He'd only just started, and I told him to please stop doing something because it's a risk. Like it's it's not a risk that will give you any pleasure. It's just a bad method that could bite you on the ass. Probably would never, but it could. And I only met the guy twice. Both times I really like stressed the point to him, and both times he didn't do it. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, no worries, don't worry about it." And then literally a week later, he died, and it was a really public fatality, and it was that killed him. The same thing that I'd warned him about twice, and it's like, man, he didn't respect it enough. He wasn't scared. Like he wasn't fearful that this shit can just bite you with the smallest thing, can really eat you up, you know? Like
Really can be. Was it, out of curiosity, was that a gear related thing that got him?
Yeah, it was the bridle left out of the BOC when he geared up, so through the lateral. And you know, I read like I said when I started base jumping, I read the BFL like multiple times, just read through the thing because I needed to know what people were doing wrong because I had no one to guide me.
Well, you're trying to find a method to the madness at that point, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so I was just trying, and I remember it happened in Portugal. Two guys, friends at Nazare, and in the dark, one of them hands him his pilot chute and says, "Oh, PCA me," and it was through the lateral, and they didn't check and just PCA'd, and that was a fatality. So I'm like, well, we can never make that mistake. How do we fix it? Always stow the bridle and the mesh. Even if you got a big pilot chute, at least put the bridle and the mesh in before you gear up, and then you can't reroute it wrong. And so I stressed to the guy because he dumped his rig out on the antenna and the bridles everywhere. I'm like, dude, if you just do this, it won't be a problem. Next antenna I bumped into him, he dumped out. It's the same. I was like, dude, I told you about that. Just do it. Trust me. It will, like, at best, it's going to stop you accidentally standing on the bridle and popping your pins when you pick the container up. But, it could save your life as well. And told him about the story of the Portuguese guys. And I think it was only a week later that he was on a building somewhere and probably stressed out because I think it was his first building. I'm not sure. And and I was watching the video and I was so fucking angry. I was just like, "Oh, motherfucker, like, come on, man." Like, and you're watching the video like you can change it. You're watching the video like willing him to check. Just check your fucking bridle, dude. It's too late.
Yeah, I got sent that same video, and within 2 seconds, I was like, "Oh, fucking dead man walking right there." And it's really sad because, as to your point, so preventable. But if you don't know, you don't know. And I can really agree with you with this. Obviously, running Lens Space Jump, teaching a lot of students, I do this whole section, and it's on the first day. Right, so we've all packed, everyone's packed, they're all good, right? And what I do is, we say, just take a break, but we want you to come upstairs with your rig out, your pilot chute and your bridle out. We're going to show you how we pack pilot chutes. Okay, so it's like the packing lesson, And as that's happening, what I'll do is I'll have someone who's helping out with the course or whatever. I'll say, can you just go and do whatever, and they'll distract the students. And as they're getting distracted, I'll gear up in front of the students with a pilot chute as they've had it on the floor with the bridle out. And I'm talking to him, I'm saying, yeah, well, when you gear up, this is the way to do it. And all right, okay, and that's it. You're ready to jump. And everyone's like, cool. No one notices. No one. And then I'll say, can you see what I've just done? And they go, fuck me. I'm like, yeah, this is what we refer to as a total malfunction. The parachute will not open once the pilot chute's thrown. So what we do is, I really state it, you have to pack. So in like a full pack job is the pilot chute packed inside the BOC every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time. And I'll say to them as well, during this course, if I walk around and there's a pilot chute and a bridle on the floor and you're not with your rig, I will pull it out and throw it on the floor and you can do it again from the beginning. So I really can relate to the stressing the importance of such a small detail that is so preventable with causing an actual fatality or a further accident from happening.
100%, dude. Yeah, and that's a great shout with the students as well. That's something if I'm in that situation, I'll adopt that for sure. But yeah, man, that's remember you were there when Dukes, that famous video. That was.
I actually wasn't. No, I was racing. I was racing in the Baja. Yeah, I was off that course for that one.
Were you there in Moab when Dante trolled Dukes with the extra set of leg straps? Oh no, you had the leg straps off, wasn't it? That was leg straps off.
I was on exit. with a couple of guys who were like their first jump in fucking Moab, and this loud ass American, Dante, he's wonderful, by the way, runs
Yeah.
past. And I was like, I literally turned to my guys. I said, just put your fingers in your ears, is literally what I said. And then you heard the parachute, because I was like, you don't want to hear what's about to happen. That's how I was just like, oh, fuck, put your fingers in your ears, guys. Because I saw the
Oh,
leg
man.
straps hanging off, you know,
Yeah.
it was so scary.
Oh God, he showed me that rig beforehand, and I was like, "You're a motherfucker." That's so brutal. Dude.
It is. And it's gnarly as well, because I thought about it afterwards. I was like, imagine if he had, like, if something had happened, like you'd thrown the pilot chute and it went through the other leg strap, you'd be like,
Oh,
oh
no,
man, like,
yeah. I know it'd be so bad, but so funny as well.
Dante got me so good with that. Like, I was sick to my stomach when I saw that. It's horrible.
I think that and Matt Turks, when we had the crane boogie in the UK, he did a low pull comp with, I think it was with Ferrell, and he took an extra pilot chute with him, and he threw it, and it wasn't connected, and then screamed the whole way down like open flare impact. It was so good, so bad, that video, but so good.
It's gnarly.
Everyone from my crew of jumpers back then, they've all got neck problems now. Like, they're all fucked. They've all got whiplash.
Severe whiplash damage. Like, it plays a brutal game on you, man. I'm dealing with a broken broken back at the moment, and just trying to nurse that back together. And, you know, it's come from a lot of hiking is what mine's come.
Yeah.
Shitload of hiking. Yeah, a lot of hiking, and not necessarily the impacts of it, but overall, you know, as we know, a lot of pack jobs and stuff like that. It all is an attribute, you know, of wrecking our bodies to find happiness.
It's funny you say that, because Stanislav, I ended up becoming good friends with him after the wingsuit jump, and he started hanging out in France with us a lot. And he had a really bad back from hiking in Russia all the time. Like, he used to backpack around the world as well, so he's always carrying a real heavy pack, and he had these real bad issues with his discs and stuff. And then I was on a jump with him in France, and he had a riser disconnect, and luckily he had a slider on. Yeah, he had a slider on, and oh man, it was so fucked, because I had a paraglider reserve. We're right by a busy road, and I was going to jump with this paraglider reserve, and he jumps and riser disconnects, and he fully spirals down like flat spin, impacts the ground, and it was like a ploughed field. It was like Roadrunner cartoon, like a mushroom cloud come up, and I'm like, well, he's dead. And I'm like, I can't leave this reserve here, like, if it blows over a car or something. So I had to jump off and hang off this reserve, and then jump off that, and then land next to him. And he was still alive, but his back was all fucked up. I think his pelvis maybe, but his spine was broken and stuff. And he looked like he was dying. You know, he had blood coming out of his mouth, and it was a pretty fucked situation. Managed to get the heli out, got to him, and they managed to fix him up good. But they did surgery on his spine, and I'm like, shortly after, I'm back out there with him, and I'm like, how are you, man? Like, how are you recovering? He goes, dude, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. My back is fucking great now. It's like, I'm 100%. I was like, let's go.
All I needed was a riser failure and to break my back and get surgery,
man.
mate.
Yeah, he was stoked. He was like, it's the best thing ever.
How enough did he have a riser failure there? Was his soft link blew out or something? Or?
So we both got different ideas of how it happened. So he used to lend people his canopy for the suspension jumps.
Yep.
And that was a lot of like strain on him. He was getting back late and then having to reconnect and pack up for the next jump, and like sometimes after we've all been out to eat and stuff like that. It was quite late, I think, when he did it. So I thought it was a rigging error. He thinks it was something on the gear failed, maybe the loop for the cutaway, but I'm not sure, so I don't want to talk on it too much, because I wanted to have a better look, but it looked like a rigging error to me, but you know, he's pretty sure it wasn't. So, and he's seen the gear more than I have. So
yeah, it's always interesting to see, you know, with things that happen like this, because obviously when gear malfunctions, it's a pretty big deal. Because it doesn't really happen that much these days, and it is usually human error that's the main driving factor to that, of, you know, an exterior factor of I was tired, I didn't eat, I was, you know, like, there's too many other examples, right? That could be that.
Yeah,
So I always like to kind of ask the question just to see if there's something to learn from it, you know?
yeah, for sure. I think 90% of the time these things are fatigue, for sure. I mean, that's got to be a huge factor with the wingsuit accidents as well. I mean, especially with the hikes that you guys do. It's, it's hard to be completely worn down and then be ready to do something so full on.
I'll often say that to people is, if you are jumping, say, a safe bridge or an antenna or something like that, there's not that much physical exertion that's coming out from your body, right? Suddenly, you go out and you're like, right, I'm windsuiting this season. I'm going to Europe. I'm going to be there. You're like, you are requiring a lot of other things that you're learning. It's climbing the mountain, it's hiking, it's navigating, understanding high mountain weather, then figuring out how the fuck to get down, where's the landing area, and then adapting the correct flying techniques. The malfunctions are slightly different. Like the equipment we use is heavier in the suit. There's so many different things, which is why I'm almost lean towards that base jumping and wingsuiting is like a sister sport. It's not exactly the same. There's obviously a lot of things that are similar, right? But yeah, it's why there's a lot more to learn with the wingsuiting, right? Rather than like what you said earlier, going up to a building and jumping off is pretty similar most of the time. It's just the logistics are what change, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like wingsuiting is so much more related to skydiving than like slider down base. Like slider down base, I don't see. I think the worst slider down base jumpers that I've seen learn have been the most experienced skydivers, but the best wingsuiters are the ones that skydive and train. Oh,
Well,
I'd say that. That's probably not totally all true. I know some French ninjas that just know how to do it, but yeah, for sure, it's like I think slider down base jumping and skydiving is like handing Lance Armstrong a BMX and telling him to go do a backflip. It's like a complete different thing. I mean, how the more you skydive, the more likely you are to downsize your parachute. The more likely you are to get drilled into different habits, swooping, things like that. Again, it's very cool. You haven't got to beat your subconscious into something new, but that's yes, it's interesting. I actually I've had an opportunity just recently to get back into skydiving. Just basically somebody's lending me a parachute. I'd never really wanted to do skydiving again. I've got this theory, right? So, and I say this to people quite a lot, that if you want to be safe in base jumping, be a really shit wingsuiter, but a really good slider down jumper, so you can get yourself out of trouble if you have to open a land off, whatever. You have to land in a shitty spot, you can land there. But if you want to survive wingsuiting, you should suck at it and know you suck at it, because then you're not going to go full on jumping, full on lines, because people die wingsuiting because they're fucking good and they strip back all the margins, because that's how you are good. In wingsuiting, you are judged as really good if you can fly really close to shit, and you can fly really fast close to shit and get away with it, but you only got to fuck it up slightly and you're dead. Like slider down, you fuck it up, you're probably going to roll an ankle, break a leg, get a little injury, learn from it, come back again, fight another day. But so if you can kind of suck, so it's kind of scary for me because I've got this opportunity to start skydiving. I've finally got a wingsuit that has zips, so I can have reserve handles and shit, so I can go skydiving.
Nice.
Someone lent me a rig, and I know people that work at the drop zone to help me navigate all the bullshit. So it's like everything's kind of lined up, which is making me think that I should. But at the same time, it's like maybe I shouldn't, because I'm still terrified of wingsuit. So I still get a kick out of it. I do it as a party trick, so I never get good.
Yeah.
And but yeah.
Yeah, I saw your party trick last year in China when we jumped together. That was good.
And I was freaking out, dude. Cheers for all the tips and pointers as well, by the way. I was thinking, right. Oh, fuck yeah, jump with this wingsuit legend. He's going to tell me exactly what I need to do. You're like, yeah, just figure it out. Just send it. You'll figure it out. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You'll be great. I was like, I'll be all right. Yeah. Man, that was so scary. That was really
fun, that was.
Yeah, dude.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you uncomfortable in an environment I'm very comfortable with, but I promise you that will change, because you'll see me on a building and you'll be like, why does it smell of shit? I'll be like, that was me, because I'm so scared, mate.
Happens to the best of us, dude. It's the best laxative in the world. Fear.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, fucking hell, Lewis. I know that between you and me, we'd probably just carry on chatting for ages.
It's just too much to say, man. I love base jumping, dude.
Yeah, it's good. Well, I appreciate you having the time to come and chat. And I know that a lot of people are going to really enjoy listening to this episode and all the fun stuff. And
I love chatting with you as well. So it's like been really cool. Cheers for doing all these things. Like I'd never listened to any of these podcasts. I was like, why do I want to listen to base jumpers talk about base jumping? I'd rather just go base jumping. And then I listened to Taz's one, and like I've heard from the horse's mouth. I've sat down with Taz and Palema and like heard those stories. But even then, listening to the podcast, it like gives me goosebumps, dude. That's some wild shit. Some wild shit. Yeah.
And everyone's got an amazing story too, you know. And I'm really happy that we got to sit down and chat about yours because it is fucking epic, mate.
Good times, man.
A huge thank you to Lewis for coming on. Some epic stories, wicked insights, and all-round good vibes. We really appreciate you. If you're enjoying the podcast, hit follow and come back for more. We've got some seriously cool guests lined up over the next few months. And if you want to support what we're building here, you can grab some merch through the link on our Instagram, exitpoint.podcast. It all helps keep this thing growing. Catch you legends next time.